Hello, it's me, as always. So this would be like a quick one, but I went home, and I had a clinic with Sandy Farrell, who is a very, very well-respected trainer in kind of the hunter-jumper world of things. So a lot of what she does is basically mostly relevant for riding. I had a fantastic time. My horse was really good. I think I learned a lot as a rider. And I think that it kind of was like something different and something exciting for my horse. So most of what she has to say really is kind of mostly relevant on the riding side, but she did bring up a couple of interesting points about behavior and respect that I just like kind of wanted to talk about and talk through. So I have a horse at home who is definitely like, he's just too smart for his own good. And so he's super easily bored, and he just, like, when he's bored and he's a little fresh, like, that's when you're going to get, that acting out. And because he's bored, he's not always the best listener, because he's kind of like, I don't really want to listen to you. Like, I know how to do this. I've done this a million times. Which I feel like is kind of an issue we can all relate to, whether it's, like, on the ground or in the saddle. If your horse is bored with its environment, like, that's when you're going to get kind of those actions of acting out where, like, maybe he's getting a little bit testy. And so one really interesting thing that she said to me is, she's like, you have this great horse. He's awesome. He, does his auto changes. Like, he'll jump all the jumps every time. Like, he's great, and he is a great horse. But he does kind of try to take advantage, and, like, on the ground as well, he knows kind of where I'm not necessarily going to discipline about some things, and I'm just going to go, oh, it's fine, like, that's just Rudy. He's just quirky. And I feel like that's kind of what a lot of us tend to say with our horses is, like, they're just quirky, that's just something that they do, like, that's not really something I'm going to fix. And so what she said to me about that was, she said, you need to pretend he doesn't do as much right as he does. Like, you need to make this harder for him. And that statement, to me, was really, really powerful, because I think she brings up a really good point there that I don't even really know that she kind of said. Like, I don't think she meant to make me think as much as she did when she said that, but it really did kind of make me think, because, like, she's right. I do let my horse at home, and I feel like a lot of us let horses get away with doing certain things because they do everything else so well. So my whole life, I've been kind of allowing my horse, or not my whole life, but as long as I've had him, I've kind of been allowing him to have, like, not the best ground manners. And then there's a couple of things he does when I ride, which is more of what she was talking about. But, like, there's certain things that I've just been like, well, he's so perfect. He's like my little baby. And, if he's going to be a little bit rude when I put the halter on, or he tries to kind of come out of the stall the second you open his door, like, that's just Rudy. But she kind of brings up a really good point there, in that, like, we should be slowing down and kind of saying, no, you do a lot of really good things, but there's no, like, oh, that's just Rudy, that's just whoever, that's just the way they are. Like, we really should kind of be almost making things a little bit harder for them. So she kind of brought up this really interesting point to me and was like, you should test him a little bit. You should kind of come up with these exercises and do these different things every day and make his life, when you're riding him, when you're working with him, like, she said he should be like a soldier. So when you're working with a horse, they get to do whatever they want for, like, 22 hours in a day. So she said, when you're working with them, they should be like a soldier. They should be following orders. They should be, in a line, well-behaved, like, yada, yada. Which is kind of interesting to me, because it's, like, not really the way I've thought of it, but she's kind of right. Like, that is their time to be educated and to be well-behaved. And so, kind of this idea of making things a little bit harder for them and kind of challenging them is really interesting, because to me, I feel like most horses we just say, oh, you know, like, he's been so good, this is really well, he's doing really good. But we can't stop there, because they learn with repetition. And so if we kind of stop drilling the same things once they do it right once, they're probably not going to learn. As opposed to if we kind of drill that every day. So, I don't know. She said some other things too. Let me look at my... Okay, I looked at my, like, little notes and I'm back. I didn't realize my video would stop when I, like, came off the camera. So one of the other things that she said that I also found kind of, like, interesting was she said, you know, you kind of sometimes have to create issues for them to solve and work through, and you can make them a little bit mad if, you know, you're working towards something. So I feel like in my mind, like, that ideal partnership is you're kind of just always doing, like, the same, not the same, but, like, you're always working together as a team. Like, you're trying not to create problems, you're trying not to fight with your horse. That's not really what she was saying. Like, she was just saying, you know, if they're doing something that you don't like, you know, if you're disciplining them, that kind of might make them annoyed. But, like, that's okay. That doesn't mean you should stop disciplining them. Because honestly, most of the time I feel like all horses are just, like, little petulant children who, when they get in trouble, throw temper tantrums. Like, no, I wanted to do that and you didn't let me. So I kind of thought that was cool that she called that out, because I feel like it is so accurate. Like, we can make them a little bit mad. They're a lot bigger than us. And a lot of times I feel like it's not often really taught and talked about specifically in these words. Like, it's just so important to have a horse who respects you and have horses who respect people, because they're too big to have, you know, vices. They're too big to be doing things that could become unsafe behaviors later. And, you know, they're just so much stronger than we are. And so even, like, something as, like, simple as, you know, kind of what Darwin does, where he, like, wants to grab the halter when you put it on, like, that's not really a good behavior, because eventually that could lead to biting. And horses' mouths are really big and very powerful. And I don't know about you, but I really don't want to lose a finger. And that's just unnerving to people. Like, if you haven't worked with horses your whole life, and, you know, you come into lab and you want to, like, put a halter on this horse and do some work with it, or even, like, you know, you're with a friend who rides and she takes you to meet her horse, and you have this horse who's, like, doing something that, like, we kind of see as, like, silly and goofy and, like, oh, whatever, like, it's fine, they're not going to hurt anyone. But it's like, letting them get away with smaller behaviors might create bigger problems. So kind of just this idea that respect early on is very, very important. And sometimes you might have to make them a little bit mad in order to get them to respect you, because you have to discipline them. And discipline is not, like, abuse. Like, discipline is a completely different thing. The goal is never to hurt the animal, but they're a lot bigger than we are, and they can hurt us if we're not careful. So, I don't know. Just some thoughts from my clinic with Sandy. I thought a lot of the stuff that she said, even though generally most of it was in a riding context, could be very, very transferable to the groundwork, because so much of this whole partnership that we have, whether you're, you know, riding your horse, whether you're mostly doing groundwork, you're trying to break a horse, like, anything that you're trying to do, that foundation of that partnership is respect, and mutual respect, of respect from me to the animal. Like, I respect you, but then they have to respect you too. They can't see you as this, like, little tiny bug who really wants to get them to do something, and they're like, I probably won't do that today. So, I don't know. Just, I'm not really sure yet how much of this is, like, I mean, it is all transferable, like, especially the idea of respect. I haven't, you know, figured out exactly what I want to do with Mr. Darwin tomorrow. I think I might chuck him on the lunge line, see what happens. But, yeah, so that was just some thoughts from my weekend. Sorry, I said this was going to be short, and then I rambled for, like, 10 minutes. So, my bad. But anyway, yeah, so new video tomorrow, because I will be back on the farm with Mr. Darwin, and I'm gonna see what we get tomorrow and see if he's any better about the haltering. And then I really kind of want to chuck him on the lunge line. I don't know that he's ever done it. But I would like to, and I would like to see what happens. Because I think having him work around me like that, rather than kind of just on the cross ties or in the stall, like, I really want to put him on the lunge line and get him to work around my body and get him to kind of work off of my cues, because I really think that having him do that will kind of be interesting to see how he responds to those things, and I feel like it'll kind of be really helpful, especially in creating that kind of respectful foundation that I'm going for. So yeah, bye.